guys. So the Acclaim came out with Billy Gunn, and they were immediately cut off by Swerve, so that Max wasn't able to rap. Swerve came out by himself. He said the idea of those guys as the tag team champions is a joke, and they built up their rematch for Grand Slam. So a lot of people think the belts are changing hands here. It could happen.
It could happen. I think it'd be a mistake.
Do tell.
Oh, well, once you get the belts, who are they feuding with after that? The Ass Boys?
The Ass Boys.
Now, think of the matches you've seen with Swerve and Lee as tag team champions. Now think of what another Ass Boys versus what's it called? Versus the Acclaim match would look like.
I'll say this. I think there are a lot of people that had no idea what they watched at the pay-per-view. And the evidence of that is asking the wrestlers about audibling during the match.
Good point.
They have no idea what they watched, and it would be... You can do whatever you want with Swerve and Lee. They're going to be great as a tag team. They'll be great as singles.
True.
The Acclaimed, I feel like, one day should win the championships.
I agree. I feel like they should be made to come back, to get back to them, much like we were talking about, like the story of even before like that press conference, their part of the press conference, the far less controversial part of the press conference, where Tony Khan basically in front of them said, like, it should be a rematch. Like, I thought after the match, like, okay, send them on a journey to level up and then come back and take the belts off of Swerve in your glory, Swerve in our glory, if you will. That's perfectly fine. But coming right back to it immediately is like, and also like people, the thing is like they're in New York, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, bro. And then what? The Ass Boys.
Yeah,
like
I think they're gonna win.
No thanks. Thanks for me.
I'm not privy to anything. Obviously, you know, I'll make my I'll be transparent. I am not I don't ask for heads up or to be tipped off or anything. I didn't know when they were winning the belts. So, you know, I think Caster is probably gonna have like the mother of all his raps on. The Grand Slam show. He had been cutting them off every week, and people really want him to get into it. So I'm sure he'll have something prepared. But I think they're changing the belts. I don't think they should. But they've backed themselves into this corner now. There's no reason they had to book this now. They could have still drawn with this later on as well. But
I don't know about betting to the corner, because it's like, I mean, they can always beat them, and what are they gonna do? Like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna because you know, there's always a part where Lee and Swerve haven't officially turned heel yet, so you could have them cheat to keep the title, and that still protects, the Acclaim for them to come back in, Revolution or some shit like that, right? Or February, whatever you want to call it. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's like, all right, bro, would you rather want to see the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed, or the Young Bucks versus Swerve in Our Glory? Would you rather see FTR versus Swerve in Our Glory, or FTR versus the Acclaim? Would you rather? We already saw a Lucha Bros match. They gave them 12 minutes and had just to hold them under 4.5 stars. Imagine that match that went 5 more fucking minutes. I'm sorry, the Acclaimed, especially given the time where we are now with the division, they're a good number 2 babyface tag team, or maybe even number 3 babyface tag team in that division. And that doesn't mean they shouldn't win. They should win eventually, but the time isn't right for them right now, especially because all the stuff you can still do with Swerve and Lee. Because once they lose the titles, what is Swerve and Lee gonna do? They've proven too valuable to not put them on TV.
Yeah, I'm going to predict them retaining the championships, and I don't think people will be happy, but they're gonna have to learn how to live with that.
Well, good. They'll probably be, when they do it, they'll probably be turning heel. So then eventually, they can finally, because think about it, right? They do a Young Bucks match. Who's going to be the person? Who's going to be the team that's going to be the face team? Swerve in Our Glory versus Young Bucks. Who's gonna be the babyface team?
I guess the Bucks will be the babyface
The Bucks.
at
FTR versus Swerve in Our Glory. Who's gonna be the babyface team? FTR.
FTR.
So since they're already like, showing heel tendencies, officially do it and screw over the baby faces there or whatever else, and then they can come back in a year, or not a year, but come back in a few months and possibly win it. But it's like, nah, man, I'm sorry. Like, they just beat the Lucha Bros in less than 20 minutes. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to. There's no world I ever want to see the Acclaim beat the Lucha Bros in that. Nah, no, that don't sound fucking ridiculous to you.
Yeah.
I understand they're over. I don't mean in a bad way. They're very over. But they are very over. But I don't think it's like they're going to be like the tag team for the next 5 years. I just don't. I don't see it. Like, maybe if Caster was a lot better, I could see it because Bowens is good enough to make it happen. But like, I think Caster's so far behind him that it's like it's gonna be a carry job. And like it will get old eventually.
Yeah, should be probably the if you take the world title out of the mix, and I feel like the world title's kind of tipped off. This is like the match I think a lot of people were looking forward to. So Jericho says that